Back, and many thanks for staying with us right here on Morning at NTV. itel is our sponsor. Minute Maid is our sponsor. YouListen app is also our sponsor. Clamor for their services. Yes, if you want to improve your life. My name is Romeo Busiko. Of course, I do have Fabian Kasi, the Managing Director for Centenary Bank. He wants to talk about using affordable microfinance solutions to ensure business success in the year 2022. He's with me right now and he joins us on set. A very good morning, Mr. Fabian Kasi.
Good morning, Robert, and thank you for having me this morning.
Indeed. Fabian, what is the general outlook of the year 2021 in terms of the micro, small and medium-sized enterprises borrowing? We want to talk about the demands and trends that you've noticed in the year 2021.
Well, as we've all observed, at the beginning of the year, there was a bit of easing, opening up of the economy. You know, I think schools opened a little bit, for example, and a few other, SMEs and businesses. But again, in the second quarter, we remember around May, everything was shut down, and which meant that the economy had to move at a very low pace. We've seen the easing up in the third and fourth quarter, and we hope and believe that, especially if the schools open beginning of the first quarter of 2022, we should be seeing the economy, opening up and activities increasing, meaning that we should be seeing increase in velocity of money in the economy, things happening and people being able to increase on what they are earning, and that is very good for the economy, for our customers, for the enterprises that we deal with, thereby making things look a little brighter going forward.
Without generalizing, Mr. Fabian Kasi, how exactly will the micro, small and medium-sized enterprises benefit from a full reopening in January of 2022?
Well, as I said, a full reopening means that people will be going about their activities a little more freely.
Those in the agricultural sector will be selling to the schools.
That's right.
Posho, beans and so forth.
Oh, that's right. As children go back to school, parents will be buying, scholastic material. Schools will be buying food for the schools. Agricultural inputs will also be bought. And we will be seeing things happening.
There's that lady in the school setting selling pancakes, selling tomatoes. She'll be able to make some eking.
That's right.
Small enterprises.
Exactly, exactly, yes. And when that happens, then, things will be happening, the ecosystem will be working, and of course, if it means somebody having to grow their businesses, they should be able to come to banks to borrow, and we will be seeing even loans that were stuck to begin to operate, to begin to, have traffic, have velocity.
Oh, thank you very much for putting that into perspective. There's also a perception, because we're talking about small businesses, that these small and micro loans are very expensive. Is this true? Please clarify for our customers and the viewers who are watching.
Well, yeah, the
pricing of the micro loans.
The perception is there for the small loans. And first of all, I just want to break down what makes up the interest rates that are charged for loans, small or big. First of all, there is the cost of funding. The money that is lent out is money that on which you are paying interest, either to the depositors or lenders, other multinational lenders, that lend money to the banks. That is the cost of funding. Then there is the cost of delivery of these loans. Cost of delivery, this is where we mean the salaries we give to the loan officers that deliver these loans, the fuel that we put in the motorcycles that our officers use to go and monitor these loans. Now, when we talk about small loans, for example, the cost of delivering them could be the same cost as delivering the bigger loans. So at the end of the day, you are looking at the cost of delivering the small loans being bigger, higher than the cost of delivering the smaller loans. And this one usually contributes to the perception that the costs, the interest rates that are charged for the small loans are higher. Of course, I've talked about the cost of lending. I've talked about the cost of delivery of these loans. There is also the default rates.
Indeed.
The rate at which people don't repay these loans. When it comes to the smaller loans, sometimes it is a higher default rate compared to the bigger loans. Then there is inflation that comes into play. And of course, when all those are put together, then you put in the margin for the the shareholders, and that makes up the interest rate that is charged for the loans. And when it comes to the smaller loans, because of the cost of delivery, as I've explained,
yes, Fabian,
you end up with a slightly, bigger interest rate compared to that charged for the bigger loans.
Also, Mr. Fabian Kasi, what are some of the available financing options at Centenary Bank for the agriculture and, micro businesses or customers at the bank?
We have various options, but before I come to that, I want to also go back to the issue of interest rates, because it is a topical issue.
The microloans, yes.
For the microloans. You will find that if somebody borrows 100,000, our small loans, our microfinance loans range between 100,000 and 50 million. You will find somebody who just needs 100,000 to go and do fishmongering. And when he gets 100,000, all the fish that he has bought for the day will be sold out, and he earns about 110,000. That is already 10% return in a day. And if he does that for 30 days, you see the return is also bigger. And when you compare that with the interest rate that is charged, that person should be able to survive. So it needed to be put in that perspective to understand that although the perception is that interest rates for the small loans is higher, but also the return is also higher. And at the end of the day, those people who want small loans, usually what they are missing is to get a loan. Not necessarily, to look at, the interest rate that is charged for those loans. So when you put all those things in perspective, you have, a loan that works, that helps.
All right.
Going back to the issue of the various options that we have
for micro and
agricultural loans. We have different loans for different sectors. We have loans for special groups, for example, the youth.
Indeed.
We give loans to the youth.
Do they need collateral?
With the
what kind?
Simplified collateral, which could be chattel items. If you have your chair in the house, can be pledged.
A phone?
A phone can be pledged.
I see.
As long as there is a way of ensuring that it will be
Things are changing. Things are changing away from the conventional collateral of land.
Yeah, and it has always been like that. Of course, land can come in for the bigger loans, but chattel items like a table, logbooks for you. If you have a logbook for a motorcycle, can be pledged as security. And as I said, we have all of these options for the youth, for the women. We have a Spowman program, for example, whereby these special groups are given, special terms, concessions, and also helped, first of all, to train, to learn, and also be able to operate their businesses in a good way that will ensure that these businesses earn money that is enough to repay the loans. We do carry them through financial literacy, to ensure that they understand how to deal with the money. All these are special programs and special options that are given to different segments.
That is amazing, Mr. Fabian Kasi, because one too many times people take loans minus having the skill as to when or how they should be investing this money. And the businesses they venture into minus research haven't been able to see their first birthday because they didn't do any research, they didn't get any financial literacy from people like yourself. Of course, you're doing the best. What else are you doing to increase the survival of these micro and small, medium-sized enterprises, Mr. Fabian Kasi? We've seen many of which have closed shop, they're not working. Others have gone bankrupt, Mr. Fabian Kasi. Others are failing to even prepay their loans. So what is Centenary Bank offering to, give them some kind of reprieve?
Well, our interest is to give loans to people, operate their businesses, those businesses to survive and grow so that they are able to pay back. If we give them money and those businesses collapse, we are also losers. That's why at the very start when we are giving you money, we would take you through, the details, the things that you needed to know. We organize financial literacy sessions for different people. As I mentioned earlier on, we have special programs for the youth, we have special programs for women, and one of the things we do is to ensure that they are trained, they are literate about money matters before they pick money to go and invest in their businesses. What happens with that is that they are helped because we've found so many people who just come in to borrow, and you know, they are not aware of the things they need to do to ensure that their businesses grow. Sometimes the money is misused and they end up in default, which is a lose-lose game for both of us, and that is not a thing that we would want to have.
Of course, many are failing to repay these loans. What kind of strategies are you doing to help such MSMEs?
Well, as I mentioned, first of all, especially at this time of slowdown in the economy, we've taken it on us as a responsibility to ensure that we work with these people. We've called them.
Extending the timeline for when they are supposed to repay.
Extending the timeline is one of them, but first of all, we get to their businesses and say, look, what's going on? What can we do? And we are able to advise them. But after that, we also give them options of rescheduling their loans. And especially now, we have about 700 schools that we've given about 140 billion.
Are these privately run?
Privately run, and of course, we know the challenges that our schools have been going through. And what we've done is to give options to these schools. First of all, there are those who feel they just want to get out of you know, their loan situation. We reduce on interest rates for them. We've you know, waived penalties. Previously, if somebody would pay late, there would be penalties. Now all those have been waived. We've also now been given a window by Bank of Uganda to be able to reschedule these loans until September 2022. And if somebody qualifies for that reschedule, now we are able to extend the period without charging further interest. What that will help to do is to give them an opportunity to recover as the schools open in January. We are also ready to give them working capital for them to be able to begin operating. Because at the end of the day, we are in this together.
Indeed.
You know, with all these institutions. If they fail to pay, we are also in trouble. And
they won't be able to come and get loans from Centenary
Absolutely,
Bank.
absolutely. We are there because they are there. If they collapse, if the schools are closed, if the enterprises don't operate, it means the banks will also have problems. And we are taking it from that angle to ensure that we help all these institutions to be able to recover as the economy opens up again.
What are some of those challenges, Fabian Kasi, do you intend to meet along the way as you execute this strategy?
Of course, a lot of challenges, but we do accept them because, as I said, we are in this together.
What are some of those?
It means we won't be earning as much as we were earning. It means loans will delay to be repaid, and that should be able to that will be able to affect liquidity levels of banks. But we have mechanisms of being able to counter all those challenges the way we've been able, to survive for the last 2 years when the economy was down.
Indeed, get us through that. How were you able to survive in the last 2 years as Centenary Bank? We did see some of the banks struggling because many of those individuals who had taken loans were not repaying them on time, and so many other administrative issues that actually dogged these banks. But for Centenary Bank, how did you circumvent all these issues?
Well, the way we've been surviving and the way we continue to survive is first of all to ensure that we have a strong capital base.
Amazing.
Yes, we have a very strong capital base. We are the second biggest in this country.
How much?
We have an asset base of about 4.5 trillion.
Amazing.
Which is like, you would say, 4% of the GDP of this country.
Indeed.
But of course, we also have a very loyal, strong customer base.
Indeed.
We have now over 2.3 million accounts of people banking with us. And of course, we don't take them for granted. And we've been keeping their money, their deposits very safely, and we've been encouraging them to continue depositing with us. We've innovated. We've come up with the new ways of doing things. I'm sure you've heard about the Sente on the Go, whereby people can digitally open accounts from wherever.
Yeah, I've seen some of your agents around Nansa and Aganda, trying to open up accounts for the individuals in that jurisdiction. All you need is your national ID. She will take a photo, send it to the base, and there you have an account.
I'm glad you are helping me to educate the public. Thank you very much.
Yes.
But we have the biggest agent network in this country, as you've rightly put it,
yes.
in across the
meaning
country.
I don't have to go to a bank and grapple with Omicron or any of these variants
Absolutely,
on the
and
globe.
we've been encouraging our customers to use those channels that we've availed. Currently, about 30% of our transactions go through agents.
Amazing.
We've availed the banking on your phone. We have the Center Mobile. About 33% of our transactions now go through that, and we want people to continue using that. And in the process, we've given convenience to our customers. So we've eventually been seeing our deposits growing. All that contributes to the sustainability and the resilience of the bank going forward amidst the challenges of COVID-19 and the problems that the economy has been having when it was closed.
Indeed, Fabian, cashless transactions will go a long way in helping us ward off the contraction of this COVID-19 disease, because when the cases are kept at a minimal level, such harsh measures like lockdowns do not take center stage, and that means businesses keep running, they keep taking loans from you, and businesses, keep the economy thriving.
That's
alike.
right.
So indeed, you're doing something for the country. You're doing the greatest for this country to ensure that we ward off the infections and also increase the survival of our MSMEs. Well, this more or less is a stimulus package, isn't it?
Sure. Sure.
And of course, government is also putting together a stimulus package of 200 billion Uganda shillings. 100 billion is coming from commercial banks like Centenary Bank. Bring us up to speed with how this is going to be executed from your pad.
Well, what is going to happen is that government, through Bank of Uganda, has availed 100 billion. Banks are supposed to also put on the table another 100 billion, whereby, those SMEs that would qualify would come and apply, and then they access that funding. That funding will be given at a concessional rate, slightly, actually much lower interest rate than the usual loans that have been given out. All that is meant to stimulate activity, help SMEs that were struggling to be able to recover as the economy opens up. So we want to urge our customers out there to come and approach our branches, our branch teams, to be able to access those facilities that have been availed. And as I said, we are in this together. Our interest is to ensure that these enterprises do recover and be able to thrive.
And also I'm hearing that this money actually is not targeting MSMEs, all of them. It's only targeting the small businesses. Do you think we should actually increase the scope of whom we are targeting with this stimulus package, and not just the small businesses, even the micro businesses?
Of course, we had to start from somewhere.
I hear you.
We had to start from somewhere, and at the end of the day, if you look at the real economy,
indeed,
we have these small enterprises.
You're going to break them down.
Yeah, we need to support them. These roadside traders, the schools that I've been talking about, people employing 5 people, 10 people, those are the engine of the economy, first and foremost. And if we are to support, we want to begin with those ones. And in any case, the bigger ones would have the ability to access other facilities,
I see,
which the small ones may not have. That's why we had to begin with those. And of course, we thank the government and the banks also, which are also ready to support these small enterprises.
So these small businesses can go for the 200 billion shilling stimulus package, and then the micro and medium-sized enterprises can come to you as Centenary Bank with the packages you're offering right now.
That's right.
And you're also telling me that the interest rates are much lower than what is being offered in the stimulus package of 200 billion. Isn't that right?
That's right. That's right. As I said, we have special programs.
Take us through the interest rates.
We have special programs for the youth. For example, we are working with the KCC. We have youth loans, which we are administering on behalf of KCCA. These ones go for 12%. Of course, which is much lower than the usual rates that have been...
Because I've been getting mine at 21%. So at 12, let me tell you, that is largely great.
That's right. There is also the Youth Livelihood Scheme by government, which we are also administering, again, for the youth. And those ones who are starting, who have been, operating for, say, 3, 4, 5 months, are able to access, these facilities. And of course, we urge them to come, borrow, operate their businesses, but pay back so that other people can also access them. Yes.
Are you also giving them some kind of financial skills to go and help them, with these projects? Because one too many times we've heard that the reason as to why these projects are not working is because many are giving money, man is being given the financial literacy or the skills to put this money to good use. Does Centenary Bank aid the government in offering these financial skills? We
do, as I mentioned at the very start. We do give you, actually, one of the things we emphasize is the financial literacy, and one of the corporate responsibility activities that we are engaged in is to do with the financial literacy, training out people out there, and we continuously do it. We gather groups of people in a hall somewhere, and then we take in experts that train them on how best to do business, you know, how best, you know, to put to good use money that they've got from banks. And at the end of the day, we've seen this, you know, helping and having many people getting to meaningfully and use the money that they borrow from us.
Let's talk about microfinance in its entirety. The scope of Centenary Bank in actually offering microfinance solutions in this case. What drove you there?
Centenary Bank has been in the microfinance space, I guess, the longest.
Indeed.
And it is the biggest microfinance bank in this country.
I see, Fabian.
As I mentioned, we are now giving out loans amounting to about 2.2 trillion, and 60% of this portfolio goes to microfinance. And in fact, microfinance is a mission-critical portfolio for the bank, because the mission of the bank is to focus on microfinance. And that's why we continue to innovate in that space. We continue to look for ways of you know, helping people who have small businesses, because we know those are the ones that you know, make up the real economy that we talk about.
We do have some concerns coming in from some experts who are saying that big banks actually have a tendency of forgetting these smaller initiatives when you get there to the top. Should we emphasize a situation whereby Centenary Bank also veers off the wagon and you forget the MSMEs once you get there to the top?
No. Of course, we are already at the top. We haven't forgotten them.
Yes, Fabian.
As I mentioned, yes. Over 50%, 60% of our portfolio still goes and will continue to go to the microfinance space. Our mission speaks to that, you know, providing financial services, especially microfinance, to small enterprises, especially those in the rural areas. That is our space, and that is our mission, and it continues to be so. So I don't think we can ever forget.
Indeed.
Yes.
Of course, MSMEs come with their own challenges. Record keeping, issues to do with that. You know, many do not have, you know, very good very great bookkeeping records. So many big banks shun these micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. How are you circumventing all these issues to actually continue working in tandem with these MSMEs?
One of the things we do when we are taking them through the financial literacy is to teach them how to keep records. Indeed. You know, rudimentary, you know, small time records, because they need them. They are important. And we've seen
when
a number
securing
of
loans.
Absolutely. While securing loans, you know, you pick information, piece it together, and you're able to make a decision as to how that person stands financially and what sort of money he deserves in his business or her business. And at the end of the day, we keep going back to encourage them to put books together, keep them. For example, now paying taxes, if they have their records properly, when the taxman comes, you know, there is a basis of the tax that they have to pay, and in the process that helps the business to grow in a responsible manner.
Mr. Fabian Kasi, how can customers ensure that they put this credit to good use?
Well, what we tell them most of the time is you should only come for a loan when you've felt the need and it is real. Some people usually are just, you know, enthusiastic to just come and pick money, and those ones, especially when they come, you'll find that their businesses won't survive. So we first of all have to establish the real need for money, and we encourage them to do that. And when they take the money, we encourage them to ensure that it is put to the use for which it has been borrowed. Some people divert it. They divert these loans, and in most cases, they end up in problems. So that's why we keep monitoring them, keep going there, keep in touch with them to ensure that if you've given them money, it is being put to the use for which it was meant.
Indeed.
And then to ensure that they repay those loans.
Indeed.
And also to grow their businesses and come back for even bigger loans, because we are happy to see somebody's business growing and soaring.
Yes.
And because at the end of the day, that means that the bank is also growing.
On the issue of them coming back to receive even bigger loans, there's the issue of the credit rating by the bank, the use of data to actually rate the credit rating of a particular business. How are you actually going about that to ensure the provision of advanced services to your customers?
We do internal credit scoring, depending on how fast timely you've been paying the loans, depending on the size of the loans, the period you've been with us, and so on. But also we use the Credit Reference Bureau. This country has a credit reference bureau whereby it picks all the information regarding somebody's borrowing from all the supervised financial institutions in this country, so that if you defaulted somewhere, it will come through in the report from the credit reference bureau, and that weighs down your rating when we are assessing you for credit.
And these are the ratings these are the kind of informations that the MSMEs should be having before they even come to access your loans. So it's imperative for you, the MSMEs, to be keeping some kind of records pertaining to your business. And of course, uncertainty has dogged the banking business, Fabian Kasi. When we're actually, during the onslaught of this COVID-19 pandemic, many people are saying, customers might pull all their money from the banks because of the uncertainty. And you did boast of some 2.3 million customers. Have you seen that number go down? People actually shutting down their accounts in the wake of the uncertainties? Have you seen an exponential increase of people actually opening new accounts? What has been the case?
Actually, the numbers have been going up, I guess, due to, we've been innovating, as I mentioned right at the very start. We've been putting in place various services that have ensured the convenience.
So more customers have been coming? More
customers have been coming. As I mentioned, deposits have also been growing, probably not at the rate they would have grown because of the uncertainties and the difficulties, but they've been growing. But we are sure that going forward, we trust that, especially as the economy opens up, we should be seeing these numbers growing.
Indeed, Fabian Kasi, for a bank that is actually boasting of a capital asset base of around 4 trillion Uganda shillings and above, and you're also giving out 2.5 trillion Uganda shillings in loans, I'm telling you, you're doing the greatest for this country.
Thank you.
Your last parting shots before I let you go. To the viewer, the customer you want to, ensure that is in your wings or fold, please woo them. They're watching.
Well, to our customers, first of all, we want to thank them.
Indeed.
We want to thank them. They've journeyed with us.
Indeed.
They've made this bank what it is to this far. We want to assure them that we are there to serve them. We want to, again, also continue to journey with them. We know the challenges they've been going through, especially during the pandemic. We've tried to work with them, and we'll continue to work with them. As I mentioned, we are in all these problems together. If one of us gets a problem, if a customer gets a problem, we also get problems. And they wouldn't want our customers to get into problems. That's why we continue to work with them, we continue to advise them, we carry them through financial literacy, we design products of convenience, and we ensure that they continue operating their business. So let them keep coming. We thank them, and we will continue serving them.
Managing Director for Centenary Bank, Mr. Fabian Kasi, many thanks for having made the time to speak to us. We're looking forward to our next encounter when you're telling us how business is being fruitful.
Thank you very much.
And of course, your money is safer in a bank than under your bed.